Okay, what's up, my beautiful people? How are we guys doing? What's up, rushers? How is everyone doing? Good? Okay, I know it's been a while since Mob Ash Rush podcast. No, since I did the Mob Ash Rush podcast episode 2025. You know, that I know it's been so while, and I'm deeply sorry about that. Yeah. But I'm trying again. I have a lot on my plate. A lot of after this, I have a podcast, and then I think I have to schedule for Friday a Minecraft and like May. No, not like animation thing. So I had to record this after. Sorry, guys, but so for this podcast episode, we are doing two things from the Thunderman return. If you don't know what that is, yes, me go deeply check about what I said. It's from the exact same show. Phoebe, I can't pronounce the actor's name, but if you don't know what that is, so Thunderman was a TV show by Nickelodeon where it has like Phoebe where these like superhero. Nickelodeon. Then they rebooted this series called Thunderman Return. We're all grown up now, so that's what we are. Okay, let's dive into this podcast reaction.
Hello, beautiful human. Kira Kosarin and Jack Griffo are going to be in studio any second now, but I want to talk to you about the thing that I sleep on. It's called the Vibrasonic by Beyond Sleep. It is my favorite thing. It's changed my life. So when you're looking for a mattress, look no further than the Vibrasonic. It has 6 speakers built into it.
6?
Yes, Stan.
Wow.
Video games you can play in a totally different way. Be immersed in your game. Plus movies. They hit different when you're watching from the Vibrasonic. Plus you use the speakers not just as like speakers. They're also used as like a massage tool. So it helps you go to bed.
That sounds nice.
It's crazy. And the adjustable base on this thing aligns perfectly to your spine. You can sleep in zero gravity, and the memory foam allows you to stay cool all night long. I'm telling you, try out the Vibrasonic when you're looking for better sleep.
Okay.
The code is on the screen.
I will.
The link is below. Hello, beautiful human. I am Zach. That is Dan.
Yep.
And we welcome to the studio for the first time ever, the Thundermans. Kira Kosarin. I kept saying your name wrong, which is so fucked up of me.
It's okay.
And Jack Griffo.
Thank you.
I thought you were gonna come in more intense attire because I've seen you out and about in LA. You sometimes like ride a little bit hardcore, right?
Yeah, I do music, and
He's got a band now.
I got a band, but I don't know. We did KTLA a couple days ago. It was the first little thing for this press kind of thing for Thundermans, and I wore a suit, and I looked at my clothes this morning, and I was like, I'm gonna kind of follow suit with like the nice formal thing.
You're dapper. You look dapper.
Yeah, I'm going dapper with it, Zach.
No, you both look amazing.
Thank you.
You look amazing.
Thank you very much for being here. We have 2 artists in the building, and we have 2 actors, and I believe, what's the deal here? When you're coming back to something, which is what you did, and it's due to popularity that happened during COVID, which is wild.
Crazy.
I want to get into all of it.
Yeah,
do you come back? What are your demands?
And
when somebody goes like, we need you to put on a suit that you really hung up because, and by the way, there's an emotional detachment that has to go down between you and these characters, right?
That's correct.
I have a lot to say about this. So 2 things. The first one that I'll say is just like returning to what felt like a closed chapter is a mindfuck. Can I curse?
Yes.
Okay.
I cursed in the first
Can
time.
I curse?
I don't know. We made something that we were really proud of, and it was like 4 seasons in a movie. That's what you always like want, and we did it. And it was like, great, check. The Thundermans, that's a thing. That's a chapter of our life that we did, and we're really proud of, and we love it, and the fans love it. Great. And being asked to reopen that chapter was really scary because it's so easy to screw something like that up and like damage the legacy. So in terms of demands, I was pretty hardcore when this all started up about what this project needed to be if it was going to happen.
I was like, I'll do it.
And I love you for that. I genuinely love that you were down. But yeah, the first iteration of the project was a very different thing that I felt very strongly was not the right thing for this, and I said no. And I walked away from the project a couple of times and was like, this is what I think it would need to be in order to make it happen. And I'm very lucky and grateful that the wonderful people at Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon liked my ideas and brought me on as an executive producer and was like, yes, you can do this. So.
Wait, that's sick.
Yeah, so I'm really happy. I hope that people love how it turned out, because if they don't, it's very much my fault.
Full responsibility.
There are some other factors. I would have liked a few more shoot days, but yeah. The other thing is from like a personal level. I don't know if you experienced this too, but being on Nickelodeon's a really interesting thing where it's like a wonderful thing to be proud of, but a lot of people, both in the industry and in the media, kind of make you feel bad for it. Like, oh, it's children's television. It doesn't count. It's multicam, not a gritty single cam movie. It doesn't count. And then I was doing music, and all of the music industry was telling me, you need to make people forget you ever did this, which was probably sound advice. But I think I started to resent and like try to forget that it had ever happened.
And believe them.
Yeah, that all of that criticism became internal. And this project was such an amazing way to be reminded, like, no, I'm really proud of what we did. We did something really special. And I'm going to cry. I'm PMSing. Don't worry, this is not.
We are really proud of what we did.
We're really proud of what we did. And I feel like I've healed a lot of myself by like coming back to this character. I'm sorry, I just talked for 37 minutes straight. Jack, would you like to go?
You're good.
But yeah, it's been crazy.
It's amazing. You know, it's amazing that we're doing this. And I think it's very rare that a show gets to do this kind of thing and come back after so many years. We just all have an immense love for each other, I feel. We grew up together. We experienced so many things together. For me, it was age 16 to 20. And when I look back on it, it was the best years of my life. I mean, the amount of lessons I learned from crew members, from directors, different guest stars that would come in, and throughout my time on Nickelodeon, I just think of it so fondly. And so to come back 6 years later, after now I've grown as a person so much ever since the show ended, because when you're on a show so intensely, like you kind of miss out on some stuff with growing up.
Oh yeah.
you get ahead in certain ways, but you also fall behind in certain ways. And so once the show was over, I really had to take assessment of like who I am, who is Jack, aside from Max Thunderman, because when you play a character so long, you sort of bleed into this character, and Jack and Max become the same person. And I'm in acting class, and I'm trying to like kind of push past that and say, well, why am I still playing this character? Well, it's so ingrained in who I am. So who is Jack? You know, and that's kind of what I've been seeking to find throughout these few years, and I feel like I have. And coming back and playing Max now is like I feel like I have so much more to offer as Jack, who Jack is.
And I want to dive into that, and I also want to dive into the changes you made. But I understand uniquely what it is like a little bit just from my friends mainly, and I think it's one bull squash that people don't give actors who are in your situation enough credit, because I'll say this, I guess somebody who worked within the Nickelodeon orbit for however much time I did in whatever extent, but really watching how the biggest shows, not you guys as much, but I really was around iCarly and Victorious and Sam and Cat all the time. Dude, that is incredibly hard work and incredibly challenging. And what was pulled off each and every week was a triumph every fucking time, and they deserve more credit, and it should be seen through a much more respected lens.
I want to give a huge shout out specifically to the crew too that makes these shows, because to write a sitcom and have that timing is so impressive. To direct a show where there are 4 cameras going at one time,
crazy.
It's not easier because there's 4 cameras. It's harder, and the crew that worked on our show was so incredibly talented and proficient at what they do. When you get a good sitcom put together, it's like magic.
And by the way, like you only get that.
Podcast episode,
it doesn't come often. Do you get what I'm saying? And like, there's a reason reason
And-
why you guys lasted for as long as you
and
did,
it's
and you
not,
got a movie,
like-
and you were able to put a great period on it.
Like, it's
And
not easy
now,
to do
obviously, have the
that.
opportunity to come back
Not
and
easy
tap
to
into
have,
it
like, a
again,
podcast.
which
Yeah, it's
is
managed,
wild
yeah.
and definitely.
I put in the hours.
I mean, I can't even imagine that for any other. Like, like the thought of having to put on the.
and
This may be the last ad you see. With Pi Ad Block, visit your
have a
favorite
Pi,
websites and
but-
watch ads disappear. However, you can also
I
opt to
put
see
in
certain
like
ads
the whole.
and
I put in like all the
Those
hours.
suits again is crazy.
The suits is a really funny bit of it. That was another one of the things that I was really excited to
Yeah,
get my
I put
hands
in
on at the
all
beginning
the
of
hours.
pre-pro for this movie was to make the suits more physically and emotionally comfortable for everyone involved because they were neither. And so there were a few things that went into that. One of them was rebuilding all of the original super suits with fabrics that were more comfortable, more flattering, more thermodynamic, and making sure, especially that Addison and Diego, who are the kids who play Billy and Nora, who are in their like late teens, early 20s, felt physically comfortable presenting themselves in that skin tight spandex, because I remember being their age and not being thrilled that I had to be on screen in skin tight spandex. We used to like beg the writers to just give us like a week's notice before we have to be in the super suit so we can like prepare
we didn't
ourselves.
get that much ahead of time, like to know the scripts coming up.
It was like Friday night. It'd be like, hey, just so you know, in 4 days you have to be on camera
and so
wearing
eventually
nothing.
we requested that they would tell us like as soon as they knew.
And they knew we wouldn't be happy about it, so they would come up to us and they'd be like, hey guys, super suits next week. And we would just look at each other and go, okay.
Which like right there is like a really interesting part of the whole thing, the whole like
Adolescence
the
on
whole
television.
adolescence and like wanting to like the mental health of it all, like as 16 17-year-olds trying to be in shape, and you know it's
And figuring out what in shape means for you
and
and
you're
what
a girl
you want
and
to feel
I'm
like.
a guy, and I even felt it, so I can't even imagine what it's like to be a woman in the industry.
I
you know?
definitely never thought about my body until the first time somebody commented on an Instagram photo of me in the Thunder Van episode with my arm against my body and said, when did her arms get fat? And I went, arms can have fat? Like I was 16 and I didn't
It's
know.
just so brutal out there.
It's just brutal.
It's so brutal.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I was going to say was designing the new super suits with everybody's comfort in mind was really fun. And I'm really pleased with them.
But by the way, you bring up something really important. Two things. One, I mean, people forget that growing up and like evolving and going through puberty and maturing or whatever it may be on television is like really taxing and really hard and takes a toll on one's mental health. And nobody gives grace for that whatsoever at all. If anything, they end up adding to the fucking noise that is really toxic and detrimental because they don't genuinely know what those comments mean.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Yeah.
They have no fucking idea.
Well, because they don't think they're talking to a real person. And, you know, it's interesting because it's when you're a public figure, part of your job is to not come across as a real person. Part of your job is to be aspirational or some other thing, because that's part of what drives the whole industry of like celebrity and consumer. And I'm glad those lines are blurring, and that's changing now with social media, and like you can be a little bit more of a real person with a platform. But I think people don't realize when they're talking to people that they're talking to people. No matter how much we're all like anti-bullying, mental health matters. It's like it doesn't actually permeate this collective subconscious
No,
when
totally.
it comes to interacting in cyberspace.
I think if people like just the thought of every like I don't know celebrity as like I don't know could be their friend or their neighbor,
Yeah.
it would go a lot further because nobody like
They're
very
hiding behind a keyboard.
very little grace is given to people who you just kind of gawk at and just spectate and just talk shit on.
I think there's also like I think probably a sense of like, oh, they're rich and famous. Like, oh, their life is so hard.
Well, and I want to
I'm
make
allowed to make fun of them
Well, I
because
would
they
like
have
to
it so good.
Make it clear that like Nickelodeon actors are not rich and famous, and I would like to get ahead
We
of
are
that
barely
narrative.
rich and certainly not famous.
And I'll tell you this: every friend that I've had from those shows, they're not living on that money. That money was gone a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim Carrey has one of the best quotes ever. We were just talking about it in my class last week. He said, I wish everybody will get rich and famous in everything they want, because then they'll realize it's not everything.
Right.
It's true. Hey, beautiful human, remember, you are what you eat, so you should try out Factor's fresh, never frozen, chef-prepared meals. They are so easy. Plus, they got 35 options every single week, so there is something for everyone. Keto Plus, vegetarian, whatever you are, Factor's got something that's going to make you salivate. I've been eating Factor for months, and this stuff is good. Plus, it's fast. All the meals are done in like 2 minutes, and everything is dietitian approved. No prep, no mess. Factor, I'm telling you, is right for you because they have something for everyone. So if you're looking to make, eating fun, easy, and healthy and incredibly delicious, I highly recommend Factor. They got pancakes, they got smoothies, and they got a bunch of other stuff. Whatever your heart desires and your tongue is craving, Factor's got you. Check it out, and if you want to save, you can today. I'll save you 50% off if you go to factormeals.com/ZachSang50. That is factormeals.com/ZachSang50. Go there, save 50%, and let me know how it tastes. There is something, though, to like, you and I haven't thought about it really through this lens until you guys sat down here and were talking.
Exactly.
There's a different sort of attachment between a child actor who's on a children's TV show or a family TV show and their character. The people who are coming up to you and recognizing you are all under a certain age, and none of them know your actual name ever. That's
changing.
It is, yes,
because of social media.
Of course, but there was a certain time where, like,
Definitely.
the majority of people who were yelling at you were not yelling you. They were not yelling Kira. They were yelling, Phoebe or Max or whatever.
It still is that way to an extent. Some people know our names. It's always a little bit more personal when they're like, Jack Griffo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really cool. It's still fine when they say Max. Like, I'll answer to whatever,
It's really interesting that you say that. I went through a period of time where people would say, oh, you're Phoebe, I love you so much. And I would say to myself, they don't love me. They love this other character that doesn't exist. I don't deserve any of that love or admiration or accolade. That's not for me. I don't get to feel that. I don't get to glean confidence or joy from that. That's for somebody else who doesn't exist. So, like, thanks for telling me as the go-between. And it literally took me, like, having a mental breakdown one night and, like, articulating that for, I think, my dad to be like, but you made that thing that they love. What they're saying is they love the thing you made. You're allowed to feel good when people say they like the thing you made. And it, like, changed my whole perspective. And then, of course, still took, I think, a couple of years for me to really let that sink in. And so now when people say, I love Phoebe, I go, cool, you love this thing that I poured my heart into. That makes me happy. I'm allowed to feel good for that. But you're right. I didn't for a long time. I was like, they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. How could they love me?
But the reality is, like, music, it is an extension of you. Like, because there is so much of who you are.
Music?
Music and acting, like, music in this character does become, like, an extension of your being, right?
Totally.
You're expressing yourself.
Yes. Like music obviously more directed to your reality as it's, like, a thing that you control every variable of an
Acting's
artist.
a little more
artist,
nuanced.
But even as an artist, you're a caricature of yourself.
Totally.
So there is also still that level.
Well,
you're right.
Yeah, a character of who you are when the reality is, when the other side is, like, you're bringing to life a character, but that character that you bring to life is still made up of who you are.
Right, and your own sense of humor and your own sentiment and your own funny expressions that you make in real life that you realize would be good to do as the character. And like you said, the blur is really interesting on kids' shows. And something that I wanted to add to that I just remembered is that the writers would literally write our characters based on what they saw us do in real life. They would take us as people as inspiration. So, like, they saw Jack had a band, Max got a band. They saw I did ballet, Phoebe got a ballet episode, and that made things even more confusing.
That's cool, though.
It was cool, except for they made fun of me for having pointy elbows for 4 years, and I still don't know what that was about. Like, are they that pointy?
No.
Pointy elbows.
You got good elbows.
Thank you.
I don't know what the standard of the standard elbow look like. What is the gold standard of an elbow?
Clearly,
Pointy,
it's
but
not
not
me.
too pointy.
It's
it has
fine.
to be a shapely elbow.
Add it to the list of insecurities. I'm just kidding.
To do this and go back kind of also means that you're opening up the potential for there to be more. And I do want to say, like, it's not a kid show. You guys are on a family show. And
Family show.
Every successful show on Nickelodeon was always designed with families in mind. But I do think that, like, whenever you have a superhero something, it does lean a little bit younger when it's a family dynamic like that. And it tends to lean a little bit more male from time to time. But I think COVID widens your audience in a way that you couldn't have ever imagined.
Yeah.
And, like, really changes the game for, like, who and what this show could be, or this brand, I think, could be for.
Sure.
I think that's the better way to describe it.
It was so unexpected and so cool. I think it was 2021. It went number 2 on Netflix. It was like, it just had this moment. I started getting tagged in, like, edits again, like it was 2013 on Instagram, and, like, hear people talking about it, and it just re-entered the cultural zeitgeist in a way it hadn't in 6, 7, 8 years. And it's really interesting. It was a really interesting challenge when we were approaching how to make this movie. And again, when I was making all of my demands, which was like, how do we make sure that this movie is for the fans? Like, for me, I don't want to like pick favorites, but the demographic that's really close to my heart is the original fans. It's the kids who were 8 to 14 when the show aired in 2012. And now they're in their late teens, early 20s, mid 20s. Like, I've had a fan come up to me who has a kid now who's watching the show. Like, it's the people who work at Starbucks at the airport who say hi to me. Those are always the ones where I'm like, oh, we grew up together. So, like, I really wanted this movie to be for them. But then there's this whole new audience that found the show, like you said, during COVID, who, like, weren't even conscious when the show started airing, a lot of them. And we really wanted to make sure that they were excited because those were the kids who were coming up to me on the street going, where's season 5? And I'm like, what? And they're like, when's the next episode come out? And I'm like, we wrapped 6.5 years ago. What do you?
It's done, kid.
What do you mean? And they'd be like, where's Nora? Like my 9-year-old friend. And I'm like, she's in college in New York. What do you mean? And so I wanted them to love it. And then, of course, you always hope there's going to be some random like Marvel fan who loves superheroes and stumbles upon it on Paramount Plus, and they also love it.
Yeah, so you really try to like hit on everything. So, okay, what is the biggest difference between this movie and the show? No, is there a laugh track?
The budget?
There is a laugh track. The budget is
There is a laugh
there's a
track.
lot more production value. I mean, it's a movie. It's longer. It's kind of like 3 or 4 episodes of the show.
Yeah.
Put into one.
Elevated is the word that everyone was using.
Yeah. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more action packed.
Exactly.
But there
CGI is better.
The CGI is a little bit better. But there are a lot of elements to it that feel like the show.
Yeah. I mean,
You know.
I know a lot of the fans wanted another season. And we had the opportunity to make a movie, which is very, very exciting. And I love it. And I think it's a really great movie. But I also wanted to make sure that it almost felt as though you were watching like a special 4-episode season finale of the Thundermans. So it really does kind of like oscillate between feeling like you're in the OG show. I think all of the scenes that take place like in the high school, in the living room set, Principal Bradford, Mrs. Wong, all of the old characters, you're like, oh, this is the Thundermans. But then you have like the cold open, which is a 3-minute scene that we filmed on the Paramount backlot in a hybrid single camera style outdoors with a crew of 80 background actors, and you're like, oh, this is bigger than anything we ever did on the original series.
And I think it would have been really, really radical to do a movie all single camera.
That's why I said no.
Yeah, like that's what it was originally going to be.
Which, like, no shade to the people who came up with that idea. I'm sure in another universe there would have been people who liked the
and
dark,
maybe
gritty
sometime
Thundermans.
in the future that could happen.
Sure.
But I think it was the right choice to do it a little bit more like the show for now.
Wait, so let's break that down. So I wanted to get back to what was
Exactly,
proposed
break it
compared
down,
to what
guys.
we're going to
Break
end up
it down.
getting.
Yeah.
Because we haven't watched it yet.
Okay. I just
Like,
want to
watched
say,
that
like,
movie because I
everyone
watched
who worked on the show
Paramount+, so-
over the course of the show was wonderful, and I love them all deeply. There was a version of this that was pitched to me, created by some people who had worked on the show, but not the show's creator.
Okay.
And they're great. They're super funny. They're great writers. And they came up with this really fun, dramatic Thundermans that was going to be like a single cam, gritty. It was just us two. It wasn't really the rest of the cast. And yeah, it was going to be like a dark single cam, like Thundermans, but make it Batman, which could have been really cool. But I felt very strongly that for the fans, I wanted to make sure that it was multicam and that it felt colorful and bright and that all of the old characters came back. And then selfishly as an actor, I love the multicam genre so deeply. I love its origins in the 50s. I love the way it morphed in the 90s. I love live audience, and that doesn't exist in the entertainment industry really outside of Nickelodeon and Disney anymore. There's a few sitcoms, but they all kind of die after 6 episodes. And I desperately wanted to do multi again. And what an amazing opportunity to do multi again, to get to come back and do it. And everyone on set, a lot of the cast was echoing those sentiments. I remember Diego was like, damn, I forgot how fun it is to hear people laugh. Like, that's such a magical, like, drug of a feeling when you make people laugh.
So do you build this movie to be a standalone thing? Or is it built to be a continuation?
It has some legs.
It has legs, for sure.
Yeah.
It definitely has legs. The finishing
right
to
back,
that story
guys.
is that we managed to pull the show's original creator back in and get him to build out this world. Jed Spingarn, who is like the man to whom I owe my existence. I love you so
the
much,
OG.
Jed. You are an amazing human and mentor and person. Yeah, and the rest is history.
So did you orchestrate this?
Yeah.
Well, originally,
I
like,
mean,
it was...
well, not the idea to do it. The idea to do it came from Paramount Plus, I believe. someone within Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus being like, we want to do something with the Thundermans IP. Do you remember?
It was fall of 2021.
It was fall of 2021.
And I was at EDC. And I get a
great
call.
time.
And I get a call from my agent, and he's like, look, they want to do more Thundermans. And I'm like, where do I sign? Because I just loved it, and I knew Kira would do what she needs to do to feel right about it. But I was so ecstatic from the start. I knew whatever we ended up doing would be awesome with Kira's amazing leadership.
This is why we're a great team.
Yes.
Little enthusiasm, a little control freak, and we have a great product. And I really genuinely think it all worked out the way it was supposed to. I mean, every single person on our crew was absolutely fabulous. I'm really proud of what we made, and like I genuinely in my core think the fans are gonna like it. And that's a feeling you don't get very often. Like every time I put out a song, I'm like, will this resonate? I don't know. Do people like me? And when you make a movie, you're like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out in the edit. But this one, especially because we were able to be part of the editing process too, and I've also seen it, I'm like, yeah, the kids are gonna like this, which is a great feeling.
By the way, that's pretty cool and a big responsibility.
Terrifying. Like I said, if this is bad,
It's all on
Oh
her.
my
it's not all my
God.
fault, but a lot of it's my fault. So like if you hate it, genuinely, this is my plea to the internet. If you don't like it, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Exactly. If you don't like it, like, don't watch it.
Do yourself.
It's not all
No, I'm
like
kidding. I'll
people
take
have
constructive
negativity.
criticism. I'm a grown woman.
I think we just had so much fun on set as well. You
We
know,
did.
which we did when we were doing the original series too. You know, we were kids, but it very much felt like that same vibe once we kind of got in the swing of things. The comedy and the humor was very similar to how it was on the show, and I think that was, you know, Kira's getting Jed back in this in the circle, and it just feels right. Like it feels really, really good. I'm watching it Friday for the first time. I'm very, very excited.
There were some really funny moments. You probably remember these too, where we would do a line reading kind of different. You know, 'cause, like by the end of the series, the original series, I mean, I could practically cold read a script in the table read, as I know you could, because you figure out that there's only 3 ways your character will say any given line. You can figure it out halfway through. And coming back to the movie, I was like, Phoebe's grown. I'm a more mature actor. Like, I'm going to bring some different choices. And sometimes I would do like a different comedy punchline line reading. And Jed would come up to me and he would just be like, Kira, I just need you to go 15-year-old Phoebe for this one. And I'd be like,
Just
Jed,
do the thing.
Jed, no, I don't want to go, Max. And then I would do it. And I'd be like, God damn it, you're right. And like watching the movie, those are my favorite moments. My favorite moments is when Jack goes, no, I swoosh. And I'm like, you're 15 again. Shayna Pundam, look at you. Like, you're babies again.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
one of the things that makes me think of is like exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like it's been so much time, so you kind of feel like things are going to be different, or you know, you have a more mature outlook, or you be more developed as an actor. And while those things might also be true, we have to be cool with just doing
Not
the
being
thing.
cool.
We have to be cool with just being Max and Phoebe. Even though we're 26, 27 years old, like that's really where the heart is, and being silly and goofy and not taking it so seriously.
But does it set you back as somebody who is in acting classes, wondering why the fuck you couldn't shake this character?
I don't act anymore, so I'm chilling. I quit years ago. Nobody really knows that, but like.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you've been doing music.
Well, 2020, I was like, I'm out. I don't like this. I love multicam. I love sitcom. I love to make people laugh. It is my lifeblood. I was an only child. The only fun thing about being a kid was making grown-ups laugh, and that is still the only thing I care about. What you just did there, that felt great. I'm on drugs now. And it doesn't exist in the industry, and I don't care about, I don't like drama. I don't like soul searching. I don't like that kind of storytelling. If I can make multicam come back, if I can do 10 more Nickelodeon shows or sell CBS and multicam, I'll be there in a heartbeat. But other than that,
Okay.
I got other things to do.
So you're on one side of the spectrum
How
where
about
you
you?
Yeah, me
fucking
too,
love it.
honestly.
And he's on the opposite side.
And you're like trying to shake this thing.
yeah, I wouldn't say I'm trying to shake it. I just love acting.
You're trying to expand your vocabulary. As
My
an
range.
actor. Your
My range. You know, I just love acting. I love performing in any real
I love
regard.
making YouTube videos,
Singing,
podcasts.
acting. And when the show ended, like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, I was kind of acting like Max in my regular life. And that's not who I am.
Blowing up
really.
planets.
You know, acting kind of like a clean cut version of myself, like a Nickelodeon kid, you know, don't swear, don't do anything, anything bad. and that would bleed into my scene work. You know, when I would go to class and have a scene partner and do a scene, like I couldn't really be real, and this is a really interesting, you know, topic, because while I'm like so grateful for the opportunity to be on Nickelodeon and to do 100+ episodes of a show, when you do it that much, it becomes so routine to do that style of acting, which there's nothing wrong with, but it is that style of acting. And, you know, when you get auditions for more serious roles, it becomes like a roadblock. It becomes like you have to work even that much harder than people who didn't do 100+ episodes of Nickelodeon. And so that's why I'm in class. That's why I'm working on my craft. And it's awesome. I love it. I'm in Anthony Mandella's studio right now. I really feel like I'm breaking new ground in a lot of ways. And now that it's been 6 years or so since the show's been over, I've been working at it. And like you mentioned before, like you kind of asked, is it hard to kind of go back now and being on the movie? And I think no. I think because that I've done a lot of years of kind of developing myself, who I am outside of Max and outside of Nickelodeon. I think this going back and doing a movie just for a month or so, I think I'm well enough along my progress and my journey for it not to hinder me so much.
If I may brag about you quickly, he is taking a red eye from like 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. to make it to New York for our press trip next week so that he doesn't miss his acting class, because he's so excited about this acting class and loves it so much that he's going to not sleep the next night to then be on camera from 5 a.m.
You'll
to
sleep on the
3
plane.
p.m. I know, but your girl needs your sleep, so I was impressed.
I love it. I love acting, you know, and I was fortunate enough to do a couple of the movies last year, apart from the Thundermans, and I think I want to act and do music, and that's pretty much it, honestly, and have a family. Yeah.
Sensible.
I'm a simple man.
Well within reach. Yeah.
I'm a simple man, Zach.
I can tell.
Yeah, that seems pretty simple.
Is there something to passing on the baton? Because that is a part of this movie, right? Like,
Totally.
there's a next generation of the both of you involved here. But does that mean you stay involved at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Addison and Diego kind of graduated into the high school students that we were on the original show. And I mean, Maya Leigh Clark, who plays Chloe, is 12 now, and she's just, I can't say enough good things about her. She's sensational. She's so poised and funny and professional and charming, and like, I'm just obsessed with her because she's everything I wasn't at 12. She's just so cool. And watching her kind of like step up and take on that role of being a 12-year-old actor is really impressive. She's very grounded too, which is surprising because she was on TV from 3 to 6. And like, that doesn't seem like a good way for any kid to start their life. But she's got a very like grounded, emotionally intelligent mom, and like she's been raised really well. And yeah, I mean, look, in terms of Next Generation, like we don't know what'll happen. If this movie does well, we'll do a sequel. We'll do a spin-off with 4 more seasons. We'll do a season 5. Like, I would love that. I think there's a lot of legs, frankly, now that everybody's moved up into their next positions. So I'm hoping that this movie is now the start of another Thundermans chapter. We'll see.
Hypothetical. What if you produce, you know, the spinoff for these kids?
Well, that's the plan.
Guy?
I mean, I don't.
With that guy.
I don't know how you feel about
the
it, but
original.
I got the bug being an executive producer on this movie. I was like, I love this. I want to direct kids multicam. I want to.
Seem so passionate about it.
Yeah.
My problem is I'm passionate about everything. But yeah, I am.
But this, like, and by the way, I understand it. Like, dude, I watched Nathan Kress. Our friend in the other room can like tell you about that guy.
Yeah.
You know, he went from being Freddy to, I don't know, directing a bunch of episodes of Henry Danger. I'm pretty sure he directed an episode of iCarly,
I
maybe
definitely
more
wanna
than
do that.
one. Like, I mean, come on. Like, you can do that in your sleep.
That's the plan. I definitely want to do that. I mean, right now it's been like, get this movie made and get it out. And that's another like 7-day run to get this movie out. And then once that movie's out, I'll go, okay, what's next?
I've just never like seen somebody so passionately like
I know.
lay out a defense for the multi-camera
Thank you.
sitcom.
I'm making this, honestly, it's sort of becoming my life's mission in a weird way. No,
Good.
really,
You seem
really
to
is.
go with it.
I have been rewatching after doing, I mean, look, like I said, I reconnected to a lot of parts of myself doing this movie. I think I have felt in the last 7 years since this movie, since the original series ended, like an outsider in so many areas of my life. I was an outsider in Hollywood because I was just a sitcom kid. I was an outsider in the music industry because I started way too late. And I was an outsider in the influencer digital creator community because, yeah, I'm a content creator with 42 million followers, but that felt like it wasn't because of what I did. It felt like it was because of this show that, which I've now come to terms with, like, no, I've worked really hard for that. But I've always felt like an outsider. And coming back home to sitcom, I was like, oh, this is where I live. This is what I'm good at. This is what I know. And this is something that I love deeply as a consumer, well enough to know how to make it as a producer. And I've been rewatching all of the old sitcoms, like I said, from the 50s, from the 90s, and recent, and trying to figure out what changed and when the genre lost fans. And I think I'm slowly cracking the code. And I'm really excited to try to put that to the test and like bring the genre home. Because I know that there are people who love it. And you know how I know? How many people do you know that still watch Friends?
Oh, everybody.
How many people do you know that are in their 20s and watch Nickelodeon and Disney because it's the only place you can watch multi?
Everybody.
Right? This is my pitch. Kira Kosarin, 2024, bring back multi.
And by the way, all Jack wants to do, you're giving like giving potentially Daniel Day-Lewis and or
who's your like actor?
Yeah, who is your
role model? Like
Leo.
Whose career?
Amazing.
Yeah.
But so where does music fall in the grand scheme of things? And by the way, is there a moment where you really solely dive into music before you realize that going more deeply into acting is what you're meant to be doing?
Well, I think I'm doing both equally right now. It was back in 2019. I started a band, and I had been writing music ever since the show ended, just in my room alone. You know, Kira taught me a little bit about songwriting, and she was doing it before I was. And I had some songs, but nothing that I really felt like on fire about, you know. And then I went through a really hard time with my family. We went through a really tough time, and I wrote a song for the first time that I really gave a damn about, you know. It meant a lot to me, and I really, that was the beginning of me realizing what music really was. And it really is this gift that artists give to the world, because it's this work. It's hard to do, and it's tough. It's a lot of soul searching, and when you go deep and you're fully transparent with things and how you got through things and put that into a song, it's not easy. It's hard. And so giving it to the world is like this free gift. Like, it's so generous to be an artist, you know, because we do this work and we're letting anyone else experience it, that, hey, maybe it might help you, maybe not. But this is what I went through, and it helped me a lot. And maybe it can help you too.
It's a lovely way to think about it.
No, the vulnerability is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
That's the word you're looking for.
But that first song that I wrote about something real in my life became the antithesis of Kid Bear and my band, and why I'm doing it. And I want to keep, you know, telling those stories and kind of inspiring people that, like, it's not about what happens to you in life. Like, it is gonna, like, shit's gonna hit the fan. It's gonna be terrible sometimes, but it's really about how you make those situations work for you, you know, and make you into a better, stronger, more fully realized person.
How you work it somehow, as it were.
How you work it somehow.
Somehow.
Thanks, Dave.
Shameless plug.
And by the way, vulnerability is terrifying, but it's also incredibly rewarding, right? Like, music has, just like any form of art, has a ripple effect that you really can't measure, and has the ability to go on to change people's lives, and people feel understood by that.
And we build up these walls, you know, living in a society that, especially as a man, like, it's not okay to cry, you know what I mean?
True.
We build up these walls that we don't want to feel those feelings, but as musicians and as an actor especially, like, you know, when you're writing music, you can kind of do it in the privacy of your own home, you know, but when you're acting, like, the whole point is to be able to perform and do it in front of people, in front of a crew, in front of a house of an audience, you know, and so it's the hardest thing to do in the world. But when you do have those victories, when you do feel like you connect and you do feel like you're vulnerable and you can cry, it's like it feels like a superpower. It feels so rewarding, like you said.
When you're making music, and this is a question for both of you, like, do you genuinely feel like you're making it for just you?
Yeah. I think as soon as you start thinking about what do they want to hear, it kind of messes things up. And you can have success that way, but for me, my process is like, you know, do your own thing. And it's fun. Kira said the same thing to me about social media. A lot of times I like to think about, like, what do people want to see me post rather than just posting what I want to post. And
I'm back, guys.
I view music the opposite. Like, I'm just gonna write what I want to write, and so maybe I can listen to myself and my own advice about social media too. Like, I don't know, social media has always been like a weird thing for me, because we just got propelled into this industry You know, I was never really an influencer. We just got followers at the same time through the show. Kira's
see,
really
guys.
run with that, and she's doing amazing with that. And I'm so proud of her. It's a really hard thing to do.
It is a separate career.
It's a separate career. It's a separate job. And I
Totally separate set
decided
of skills.
very early on that I wasn't going to do that.
Which is honestly probably a better choice as a capital A actor.
Right. And I think even though
You
that,
trade in a little legitimacy when
As
you
a thespian?
as a thespian when you choose to be a
but
content
also
creator.
she's connecting with her fans in such a meaningful way for people, and I do feel a little bit like, oh, like I do love my fans, like I really do. I know that I wouldn't be here without them, but at the same time I don't feel like it obligates me to share Jack my life with them, or
You have your own boundaries, which is healthy.
yeah, I have my own boundaries, and what I want to do for them is keep doing my work, you know what I mean, and keep affecting people that way. I feel like I want to keep a lot of myself for myself, you know.
Healthy.
I think that's really healthy.
Yeah.
I think I have a really weird existence on the internet where because I share so much, people think they know everything about me. And I'm like, I have 3 secrets right now in my pocket that would like break the internet if I told you what, like genuinely 3 that would break the internet if I told you. People don't know me that well. I mean, I do share a lot of myself and it's important, like authenticity is important to me, but I also do agree, like it's important to keep some things about yourself close to the chest, and it's nice. It's a nice place to be where people are like, oh, Kira, yeah, she's an open book. She never shuts up. We know everything about her. And I'm like, girl, if you knew.
Interesting.
Keep
But
it
do
that
you,
way.
And I'm going to keep it that way.
but do you refine that over time?
What?
That ability
The,
to
the sense of boundaries?
yeah, to depict to everyone around you that you share everything, but the reality is you keep secrets?
It's not a farce. It's not an intentional move. It's just I love to share. Honestly, I think it was born out of, for the first time in my life, having a secret I actually had to keep.
Which was?
I can't tell you. That's why it's a secret. Nice try. Zach saying, you're so good at your job. You tried.
didn't know
I
if
was
it
a
was
couple actually. There's 3 that I can point to, but I won't because they're secrets, and that's the point. But the first time I actually had to do that, I at first it really hurt. I was like, I feel like I'm lying to the people, and then over the course of time, I was like, no, I'm allowed to have a part of Kira that's just for Kira. So yeah, I don't know. I think that skill just kind of grew over time. I genuinely don't want it to sound like I'm lying to people ever. All of the things that people know to be my core values are true. All of the things I care about, education, curiosity, you know, all of the things that make Kira a Kira on a public scale are real.
Multi-camera passion.
Multi-camera sitcoms, live audiences. But even that, it's like, it's not just that my passion is multicam. It's that my passion is get rid of the fucking laugh track and bring back real people and bring back live energy and connection in rooms. Like, I'm not lying to the people. I'm just getting better at keeping some parts of me for just me.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't it?
I like
So
that.
you don't like laugh tracks?
She likes real laugh.
Live
would
live
prefer-
studio audience.
I prefer a live studio audience. It's not that I dislike laugh tracks. I think that when the laughter is too loud or doesn't match the energy of the joke, or if it comes in and out too quickly and feels artificial, I think it sets off an uncanny valley trigger in your brain that's like, that's not real. That's somebody trying to make me think their joke is funnier than it is. But when it really feels like a conversation, a silent conversation between the performer and the audience that you're getting let in on, it's magical. I mean, I've been rewatching The Nanny recently, and there are so many moments where one of them will deliver a line, and you can see just the subtlest twinkle out of their eye where the actor kind of nudges to the audience, and one person in the audience has a reaction that then makes you laugh, and it feels like you're in the room watching live theater. I think that's multicam at its best.
Which we had on our show too.
Which we had
a
on our
live
show.
studio audience on our show.
Oh,
which-
that's wild. Because not a lot of Nickelodeon shows have that.
It
We
was
had
one
it-
of the last ones that had it.
And it was my favorite part of the show. We had it for maybe 60 out of 110 episodes. There were some that were too special effect heavy.
for time.
For time. And because there was minors, like there were limitations. It wasn't every
But we
week.
had them, and they were a
But
party.
we loved them.
They were a party.
And more importantly, we were better. When the audience was there,
Yeah.
we were funnier. And the audience, the episodes that were filmed live, I genuinely think are better episodes.
And I'll say this, like, it also keeps you on time, right? Like, you can't keep these people all day. And I don't share a lot, but one of the things I will say is friends on other shows would be there for 19 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, one of
Right?
the one of
Like,
the
that's not a joke.
One of the demands that I had for the movie was that we have our wonderful director of Thundermans Return, Trevor Kirshner, who is the only director I've ever had who somehow manages to get everyone out 3 hours ahead of schedule,
Yeah, but
10 times funnier than expected, and
that's
half
amazing.
under budget.
Yeah.
That's
He's our favorite.
He's amazing.
And by the way, like, I would watch I'd sit on set and I watch somebody do the same take 40 times.
Till it's not funny anymore.
No, they go, ha, 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 ha. And then if you don't laugh, if you don't fucking laugh, and they see you're not laughing, oh, shit, dude. Good luck.
See, we were really, really lucky. We had 2 writers.
Oh, it makes I'm actually getting nauseous right now.
Do you need a hug?
No, I'm okay.
Some tea?
No, I'm okay.
We had I do know those rooms that you're talking about. We had 2 writers who had the funniest laughs in the world, and like if you could make one of them laugh, it felt amazing. Even if it was fake, it still felt great. And it was always like empty on set on the days where they weren't there. So they did fake laugh, but at least they were like good fake laughs. Actually, that's one of the things Trevor's really good at. He's really good at fake laughing in a way that makes you actually think he thought you were funny. And I'm like, he's heard me do this joke 9 times. He's not actually laughing. He just knows
the high pitch.
You know,
He goes,
Yeah.
Like, so how many takes would you do with a live audience?
Basically,
It depends.
It depends.
on the scene, how many pages it is,
And how many effects.
how many jokes, you know.
And but honestly, it depended on the director. Like there were certain directors who would take a more play-like approach where they would like, for example, some directors would be more likely to choreograph the cameras in a way to have to stop the scene as little as possible. And some directors loved resets because they could do fewer takes that way by getting all 4 cameras on this part of the scene, pause, all 4 cameras on this part of the scene, which is valid. As an actor, I always preferred let us do the whole scene with the cameras in one position, then get the whole scene with the cameras in another, because I think you need that energy. But it really depended. Speaking of which, isn't it insane that TV shows have just like different directors come in and out week in and week
I
out?
always thought that was weird.
Isn't
I never
that
understood
a
it.
fascinating part of the industry?
Well, I think I would love to know where that started.
The variety.
I like the idea of like somebody else's vision.
I don't know if it's like a way to make sure the director doesn't have too much power so that like the showrunners can still be kind of in charge.
Probably part of it as
Probably
well.
part of it.
There is something called a house director, which is
Right.
like they do the pilot, they do most episodes.
And we did have like 3 directors who probably between them did 70% of
Yeah,
the show, and the other
Trevor,
30
Jonathan.
were like 15 other directors. But
Did you ever want to direct an episode?
For sure.
yeah, we both had inclinations, but I think during the run of the original series, it just didn't make sense.
They never took me seriously when I asked to do it.
Yeah, I think that they didn't want to let one of us do it because then they'd have to let
the
both
other
of us
one
do
do
it,
it,
and we
yeah.
both were probably capable of it. But I think it's also hard. I mean, realistically, like we were on how many episodes? How many pages was a script back then?
50?
50. We were on like 44 pages of every 50-page script. Like we were in a lot of the show. So to have one of your 18-year-old actors be directing for the first time ever while also being in 85% of a show, I can see why the people holding the purse strings were hesitant.
I wanted it bad though. I remember wanting it really bad and like telling Nickelodeon about like Leo Howard on Kicking It and you know how he was directing and
you
this
can't use
person over
Disney
there.
examples.
And, you know,
Nickelodeon's like, we are not them. We
Right.
have our own protocol.
yeah. But I was just trying everything I could.
Well, you know, there were a lot of things that we wanted to do on the course of the original series. And, you know, right, it's fine. Things like I wanted to be in the writer's room and watch things. There were certain things that we weren't allowed to do. But my reaction to that was to go, well, I'm going to learn everything I can. I'm going to shadow props for a few days. I'm going to talk to the grips and the gaffers and lighting and sound and just like learn as much as possible. And I'm so glad in retrospect that I did, because all of those little things that I learned from set deck, from props, from wardrobe, I used making this movie. Which is one of the reasons that I feel like I have so much confidence now to like try to be the person to bring back Multi.
You should.
I want to.
And I want to say something. Your request to direct was not crazy, and there was precedent on every other show at the time,
Certainly,
and not wild at all.
Yeah, no, I love shadowing the directors and being with them when I could have been up in my dressing room doing whatever, and I would have a great time.
I broke your show.
No, it's okay. Just shove her on there.
Sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah, maybe one day, Zach.
You know what? When the time is right, you're going to direct
Exactly,
what is
exactly.
right.
Yeah, we're in our 20s now. We're in our late 20s now. They'll let us do that.
Don't say that.
We're 19. I'm prepubescent. What?
By the way, you give so New Jersey. I love that you're from Morristown.
Are you from Jersey?
Yeah, I'm from Wayne.
We feel like we've talked about this
Of
before.
course. But every time I'm with you, you ooze New Jersey, and you're a stage kid.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Not only am I from New Jersey, I'm from a New York theater family.
Yeah, your parents worked on Broadway. I didn't know your dad was like a conductor.
My dad was, he was a music director and conductor.
He's absolutely brilliant.
Thank you on his behalf. My my uncle Kaz. My uncle Kaz is like the right-hand man for all things Disney with Alan Menken.
What?
And then my dad's like assistant when he was young was Alex Lacamoire, who went on to do In the Heights and Hamilton with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like I come from a deeply Broadway family.
Well, I have physical goosebumps.
Yes, my mom was in Beauty and the Beast, and when I was young, and I grew up backstage at the Lunt Fontanne. Why
am I gonna cry?
I know.
I don't know. Why am I getting emotional?
No, it's okay. Because it is live theater is every time
it's amazing.
I am
Special.
in a crowd. Even every time I watch like an award show, I tear up at the beginning because it brings me back to like theater.
And also, I believe that they make the best performers, and I think Nickelodeon would back me up on that as like their biggest shows. A lot of cases were built on fucking kids.
that's
on
what
stage.
I get so many people. When I started putting out music, I got a lot of people being like, why does every Nickelodeon and Disney kid put out music? And like, I get it, sure. But there's a very obvious, easy answer, which is that multicam acting, like you said, it's not the same as other kinds of acting. Mm-hmm. It is not lesser, it is different, and it is hard in its own right. But what is it most similar to?
Yeah, stage. Dude.
Theater acting. Yeah. It's playing to the back house. It's playing to the person in the back row. It's sharp turns. It's committed line readings. It's big, funny, creative movements. That's theater. So almost every kid who ends up on Disney Nickelodeon started doing theater. What's the other thing you do in theater? Fucking sing. We were all theater kids. And so when you finish your multicam, and there's no more multicams to do in the industry because they don't exist, and so you can't act anymore because you can't get a job in drama or you don't like it, like me, then you go, well, what do I do for a job? Oh, I'll put out music because I'm a musician. It's like, it's such a clear and obvious pathway when you've lived it.
It's true.
But I see why other people don't think of it that way. But we're all theater. I mean, he was a theater kid too.
I was, and I was about to keep tooting Danny's horn over there. I mean, it's so awesome having someone like that in the circle because he does have so much knowledge, and like I go to her dad all the time whenever I have like Broadway auditions or anything with like live theater or singing or anything.
I remember my dad coaching you in our living room when I still lived at home for, was it Dear Evan Hansen?
I think so.
Which is funny because I ended up auditioning for the movie version of it later on. My dad used to, some of my fondest memories of our time on the original series are when they used to send us to go do international promo. We got to do some amazing traveling during the original series.
Our trips were the best.
And it was always back then, he was of age, so he didn't have to have a companion. I was still underage, and I had to have a companion, so it was him and me and my dad. And the three of us just like traipsing around, like getting drunk on hard cider in Australia, and like going to castles in Malta, and like seeing the world together, and it was being jet lagged and a little mean to each other. And
By the way,
we have such awesome memories and experiences together. Like there's no one else in the world that has experienced the same thing that I have in regards to the show, and we've had so many memories together. And
we needed a few years apart from each other after the show.
We did.
But it's nice to come back.
I said that this morning in the media interviews. They're like, so do you guys like keep in touch? I was like, honestly, like we needed a break.
Not be together.
But then we came back together. And
it's been very healing.
It's been great.
Yeah. Sorry, you were about to say something.
Well, is it weird that, I was about to say that it's crazy that Nickelodeon, right when somebody turns 18, they're literally like, you can go travel the world by your fucking self. Good luck. It is nuts. They did it to me. I was traveling everywhere.
You know what? I have done the same thing for years, which is that I just always exchange my one business class ticket for two coach, and that way I can bring a companion. It costs them about the same, and and everyone's happy.
That's really nice.
That's what I've always done.
That's good.
I don't do that.
So now it's him and me and my fiance, and it's the three of us like traipsing around the world.
We got along really well in South America recently.
Yeah.
That was the first time I really got to spend some time with Kira's fiance, and I was so excited
Mazel
because I
tov,
met him
by
a
the
couple
way.
times.
His name's
and
Max,
he's so
right?
great. And we had a great time together. Yeah, his name's Max.
That's funny.
Isn't that nice?
That's great.
Yeah.
You can't escape it, can you?
It makes my life so
And my
hard
dog's name is Max.
on the internet. Because here's the thing: people already think that Jack and I dated. This is a great opportunity
so
to set
weird.
the record straight.
It's so weird.
Never dated.
Never.
I don't think you could pay either of us enough money.
We've never even like hooked up. Like when you know
hooked
what I
up.
mean?
I've never touched.
Yeah.
No.
Like, well, you say
That is
dated.
my
I want to be clear that
brother.
like nothing has ever even happened.
That is my brother. When we met, I was a prepubescent, freshly 14-year-old. He was a little mini Zac Efron.
No, you were
16.
even
No,
even
you're right.
younger.
I was 12.
Yeah,
I
was like 14.
I was 12 or 13. He
And
was
we were in
14 or
acting
15.
class together.
We went to school together. He was a little shit to me. He was so mean to me for my entire adolescence. I forgive you. You were going through a lot, and you didn't have anyone else to take it out on. But dear God, you were mean to me. And so when people thought we dated, I was always like, the guy who made the negative voice in my head? What do you mean? Like, we never dated. Now we're great. It's not your fault. We were teenagers, and we were in a very strange part
I
of our
don't think of it as
existence.
serious as she does, but
Well, yeah.
You were on the receiving end.
yeah.
No, and it was not all you. And you also brought wonderful things to my life, and you're a very important person to me, and you are my brother forever and ever. But I say that to give
What do
the
you think, his
context
boyfriend?
of why it's so preposterous when people think we dated. But it's on Wikipedia, so it must be true. We did actually start to play into it towards the end. I'm sorry to call you out like that. That sounded mean. I didn't mean to be. Come here.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna go fuck myself.
I love you. I'm sorry. It was mean, but it was true.
This is a place of honesty.
We just switch roles. You know?
No, yeah, I will be honest. I was a little mean to you when we got back into each other's lives.
Wow.
I didn't mean to be, but I felt it. I felt myself be a little mean to you when we first reconnected, and I was like,
Okay.
oh God, that's a wounded child, like lashing out. No.
Yeah, but your awareness, that's really healthy.
Thank you.
That's really good.
Thank you. I'm very self-aware, for better and for worse.
No, that's, I mean, dude.
I really do feel bad. I'm going to feel bad about that for 3 days. But you also kicked me in the head once, so now we're even.
Totally on purpose.
No, but do you remember? Jack kicked me in the head, totally an accident, stunt scene. I probably didn't duck low enough. I'm sure it's half my fault too.
She took it like a champ.
They put him in skinny jeans, and his leg didn't get high enough. Like, it was late at night.
I like hatchet kicked her in the back
with
of
a
the
wooden
head.
boot.
Yeah,
I
with
have still have a scar. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
But I
On set.
remember when that happened,
Crazy.
being like, now I can hold this over you forever, and someday I'll do something wrong and we'll be even. Jack,
I like went to the hospital.
I will
with
call
her.
this as my something wrong. I'm sorry I called you out. Now we're even.
So were you guys excited to work together when you were first cast originally on the show?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, my
yeah.
God. We went to school together, and we were in acting classes together. And I
That's
specifically
crazy.
remember we had actually auditioned to play brother and sister in like a Hunt's tomato commercial or something like that his mom had driven us to.
We had been working together. You know, we had been working together for a few
We've been
years.
doing scenes in acting class. Like,
You
we
know?
knew each other.
So when it came time to do the chemistry, she already had the role, and it was me and like literally like 15 guys. Like, you know, and I felt like I had a leg up because I knew Kira really well. And when we got in the room, the energy was just palpable.
Yeah,
you
Jed
know?
told me at some point, I think, that one of the reasons that it was so obvious that he was the right one for the job, other than the fact that he's incredibly talented and was very funny in the audition, is that
now you're gassing.
I
me
have
up. You
to-
feel she feels bad right
you're
now.
right. You are correct. I'm a nice person, and I acted out of character for a moment, and I'm trying to make up for it. Fucking sue me.
So I'm talented and everything.
I literally hyped you up twice in this
Exactly.
interview before this moment. You didn't get to gaslight me
This
now.
never gets on.
How I got
Let
the
me
role.
take it back. I'll be mean again. He walked in on the casting director in the bathroom before his audition.
You walked in on the casting director?
Why?
What?
Wait,
You walked in on a casting director? What?
That was mortifying.
You tell that story in interviews
As a
all the time. That is not a
15-year-old.
secret.
I haven't talked about that in years.
And you were
though.
very polite about it. You closed the door real quick.
Dude, casting director like on the toilet.
Like pooping.
I don't know what. I don't want. Girls don't poop. So
Anyway.
Let Intuit generate marketing campaigns to grow your business. Intuit, your way to money.
Jed said, I'm getting this train back on the rails. Jed said that it was because he was the only boy who wasn't afraid to get in my face. Because all the other boys were like, ooh, girl, ooh, star of the show. And Jack was like, it's fucking Kira. Like, I'll get in her face. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't care.
Well, you guys give brother-sister
We
energy.
do. And, well, and we
you
are
grew up
now.
together.
and that's I think the meanness that Kira talks about and means. Like Kira knows that I love her to death.
I do.
But when you're brother and
And you're
sister
really
with someone,
nice to me now. It's amazing.
well,
I
we've
love
both
you.
grown up a lot. And when you are brother and
Okay.
sister with someone, you're a teenager. You know, you throw them under the bus a little bit. You give them a little shit.
And look,
you know
let's
what I mean?
while we're in therapy,
Yeah.
I'll close up the thought because we're here and I might as well. The only reason that I was so hurt was because like all I ever wanted desperately during the original series was for you to like me and think I was cool. I thought you were the coolest kid in the world. You were a little older than me. You were a little star and you were really good at all of the things that I also wanted to be good at. And you were a little bit less straight edge than me, a lot less straight edge than me, and you had a lot more experiences, and I just wanted you to love me and like me and think I was cool. And sometimes you did. And then sometimes you didn't. And when you didn't, it felt like my whole world was getting like yanked out from under me, or like, and that was the only reason that I took it so hard, because I loved you.
Well, it's giving little sister big brother.
Well, yeah.
Zach, what's your hourly? We need to come.
I know,
over.
right? We've been meaning to have this conversation for years.
But this is a huge breakthrough.
It's a big
Let's
breakthrough.
not distract and deflect, my friend.
No, it's true. And
That's
you know that.
really special.
We have talked about
We've
it.
talked about it a little, because we had to reconnect when the movie came up.
But I think also that's family.
Yeah.
It
Right?
is.
Like,
it is.
it-
That was my original point. That
Honestly,
it is very like brother sister.
We have the same relationship that like my mom and her sister had. Like they didn't get along as teenagers, and now they can't imagine life without each other. And
Yeah,
like,
I never had a younger sister. I was always the youngest sibling.
yeah, he's the baby, like by a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm an only child.
But I can like even imagine your mom driving you to the audition, like
And my
her
dad being kind of a
coaching.
second dad to him.
That's crazy. Like that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't get that all the time.
Yeah.
And that should be, I don't know.
And I think hopefully it's
preserved
part of why the show was so successful.
100%.
Yeah.
Because originally, oh, never mind.
What? Who was originally going to be in that role?
Well, no
was a
one.
different role.
It was a different role.
It was an older brother, right?
There is an alternate universe that would have looked
I
very
respect
different.
that guy.
Nice.
He
You
knows.
with the
He did his homework.
research.
Yeah.
In the original iteration of the series, it was very
first
different.
pilot.
The first pilot, I was Phoebe, a girl with like 30 superpowers when everyone else in the family had one. And despite being super talented, she wanted nothing to do with being a superhero. And it was a much older brother who wanted to be evil. And then the rest of the cast was the same. And I think the older brother, he was such a sweetheart. He just, I think the character was a little too old to resonate with kids. It didn't quite play. I think that they wanted the show to hit harder with male audiences, because at that time Nickelodeon was
Henry
really
Danger.
looking for the 6 to 11 boy market, because it sells a lot of toy ads, and because it's a great market to capture. And the pilot did really well with girls, but I don't think it did as well with boys. So they said, let's lower the age. Now, the other interesting thing here is that Jack had done another Nickelodeon pilot, and he was on hold for it when the original Thundermans pilot casted. So he couldn't have even auditioned for the original because he was on hold for another show.
Mm-hmm.
Then that show didn't go. Then they decided to rework Thundermans, and he auditioned to play Max. And so, like, so many little things had to coalesce.
And I remember seeing the email in my inbox of like your audition for the Thundermans, and I knew I was like, that's Kira's show. And we were in the same school. Not only were we in the same acting school, we were in the same school.
Same school.
And she had
School.
taken time off to go and shoot, and I knew about it because Kira was my friend and acquaintance. Really,
Yeah.
at
We didn't
that
know each other
time.
well, but we were around.
But we knew each other, and
You were the kid with the frosted tips.
I had a lot of different styles. Okay,
You're a fashionable guy.
like you said in the beginning, you thought I was gonna come in here all punk rock.
Yeah.
I keep it interesting, But yeah, I knew that it was Kira's show, and I was like, "This pilot has already been done. Like, what is the deal here?" And I look in, read it, and see that they're recasting it and they're making it twins, and I was like, "Oh, like," and immediately I was like, "That's me." Like, I could see myself being Kira's twin, like immediately. And
Isn't it funny how that happens? I remember getting the audition for Phoebe too and being like, this is me. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
ever going to book something, it's got to be this. And
I'm
it's
that
funny
guy.
because you have that feeling a lot. And a lot of the time you're wrong.
Right.
You go, this is my part. And then you don't even get a call back. But
Right.
both of us like read the scripts and were like, this me.
yeah,
This me. This one, this is right. And
yeah, I'm
then
picturing in my head. I'm like, yeah, me and Kira, like we could do that.
he dyed his hair. He put fake dye to be a little darker. Like he put like a brown spray so it would match
Yeah.
my hair a little better.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I remember that day and everything about that day going into chemistry with you, because I think I sent the tape in and then I went right to the
right to
chemistry
cameras.
read.
Yeah. And you're right. There were like 15 guys.
Yeah, there was a lot. Usually it's like 4 or 5. It was like a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a few of them that I
A
knew.
lot of guys.
A few of them that I knew, which is always such an interesting thing when you go in casting offices, which are obsolete these days. Everything's
All
self-tape.
self-tape. Just
But
half
like
the way I
going
quit.
in at casting offices, having that kind of like friendly competition of like,
Totally.
oh, what's up, bro? Like fuck you.
You want to know something really funny? A great anecdote to tell you what I was at 15 that you will be like, I remember that girl. I used to talk to people at auditions because I wanted to make friends because I was an only child. And I had moved out to LA at 12 years old. And I was like, wow, look at all these cool, beautiful girls who also like the same things I do. I'm going to befriend them. And I would talk to them, right? Years after this, like years of doing this, and we do the original pilot, and Audrey Whitby,
Oh my
who plays
God.
Cherry, is on
God.
the show. And in the
God,
pilot,
that's
it was me and Audrey, and we were chatting, and she told me that early on, there had been some audition where I had been talking to her and she thought that I was trying to sabotage her audition. And I have found out, I hope I'm not misappropriating that story to her. I'm pretty sure it was her, but I have found out since then that lots of people apparently thought that here I was, this evil genius, conniving, this saboteur roaming the casting offices of
just trying to make
200
friends.
South La Brea. And like, I'm just trying to make friends.
That's interesting.
That's everything you need to know about me as
That's
a
crazy.
person, honestly.
It's thick. The competition is steep out there, especially when
And
there
they weren't
was,
my friends.
especially when there was casting offices and people that you went in person all the time. And
Did you
know.
ever have this experience? I don't know if this is just like a girl's thing, but there were 3 or 4 times where I would have a friend, start to get close to them, and then we would both get close to the same role, and they would decide that they were competition and didn't want to be my friend anymore. They would immediately write me off and never talk to me again.
It's a girl.
Is it a
that's
girl thing?
thing?
Because it
Yeah.
happened to me on 3 different occasions. Like, again, I was so oblivious. I was always like, what happened? And my dad was like, that's someone being mean to you. And I was like, oh.
It's like the parallel of how like girls really have to like talk through their differences, and guys are like, you know what I mean?
Has there been a role recently that you really wanted that you felt like you would be perfect for?
Good
Yeah,
question.
Back to the Future.
Really?
Yeah. I
I
got
get
really
that.
close to it. I flew out to New York for the callbacks, and I really
Yeah.
wanted
Yeah.
it. I don't let myself get attached like at all. But this one, Danny helped me with it. Her dad. It was the Broadway show,
Wow.
and the music was so good, and I just remember living and breathing in that role, and I saw like 8 signs in the world. I saw a DeLorean like driving down the street, like the day I got the call back.
You're
And I
just
was
getting
like,
punked by the universe.
you know, like you see DeLoreans sometimes like parked, whatever, but this one was driving down the street. I was like, I'm Marty. Like I'm just Marty. Like I know it.
That's such a good role for you too.
I
but
know,
it was the
I know.
musical version, right?
Yeah. It wasn't like a remake of the movie.
Got
it
it,
was
got it.
the
It was the
Broadway
tour.
musical.
Yeah.
No, well then it was the tour after.
Oh,
I got the audition for the real one, the regular one on Broadway, and then I got the audition for the tour too. Didn't get either, but it sucks when you get really close and you feel like
Yeah.
you're seeing the signs in the world and you're living and breathing that role. That's why we, as actors, we try not to get too attached. Like John DiAquino told me that you view
Shout out,
the
John.
audition like the job.
Yes.
That was our first acting teacher when we first moved here.
Which is really easy when you're a teenager and you don't have bills to pay.
Totally.
Right.
It changes when you're an adult.
Right, but when certain things get, when you're a child, when you learn certain things, like they stick around, you know.
They would say your job is to make a fan.
Yeah,
Your job's to
make
go
a
into the
fan
room,
at the
make a
casting
fan.
office.
It will pay off at some point, even if it's not now.
And you just give everything to that audition, and once you walk out of the office or sign the tape, you just gotta move on. But this Back to the Future one, it stuck with me for a while. Yeah.
Because auditioning in a lot of cases could be a really drawn out process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have friends. Dude, I have a friend. I really love him. He's one of my best friends. He came.
Okay.
It was between him and the person who got it for West Side Story. My friend dedicated a year
Yeah.
to this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I saw him and he had fucking tattoos where Tony has tattoos.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, he would literally go to workshops just to like literally work hand in hand on becoming this thing.
Hard
Look,
because
when-
you have to do that prep work, otherwise you won't book the job. But then
Totally.
it's such a
When it's a character
Oh,
that's
and then a lot of the times they demand the prep work, by the way.
that's that deep with that much literature, when it's like a Spider-Man or West Side Story or Back to the Future, like you feel like, okay, well, everyone else is gonna do the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the work is there to do.
Yeah.
So another thing that John told me is, they might out talent you, but never let them outwork you.
yeah.
And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
That hits.
Yeah.
Good shit, right?
Good
It's
shit.
fucking
Put that,
right.
put that on a
Really
t-shirt and
hit,
smoke it. What?
It really hit.
Wait.
I don't want to smoke a t-shirt.
Two together.
By the way, you could watch the Thunderman Returns. It's coming to Paramount Plus.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Thundermans Return, March 7th, Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon.
Yeah, we're gonna put a link below so you can catch it. You can stream it whenever you want to. What are you thinking?
Looking back, was being a Nickelodeon star what you thought or expected it to be?
That's a good question.
Well, it's funny. I always thought I'd be
Answer honestly.
I always thought I'd be a Disney star. And look, the only reason I say that is because it's actually a good story.
It's so true.
And this all comes back full circle to loving Nickelodeon, because I was testing for a couple different things at the time. I was testing for like a Disney show and a Nick show and something else. And the Nick show was the Thundermans. And it was just the pilot. You know, there's no way I could have known what the Thundermans would have been. You know, and
11 years later.
I think the Disney show was Dog with a Blog. And
you think you didn't know?
No, it was. I just haven't thought about it in a while. It was Dog with a Blog, and I didn't do it. That was around the same time. Maybe I didn't do it a little bit after. I don't remember. But at the time, I really wanted the Disney show. I wanted to wave the wand. I wanted to do the thing, and that's what I imagined myself doing when I came out from Florida when I was 13. And I ended up obviously getting the Thundermans. And I was so happy, you know, whatever I got, I would have been happy with. But now, like, really looking back in retrospect, it's such a universal concept of, like, everything works out for you in the end. You know what I mean? And, you know, what you think you want isn't necessarily what is best for you, because I got the best show I could have gotten.
Exactly.
Ever, and I would never do it differently in a million years.
It's really interesting.
Right?
Because, like, you could have had a totally different path.
100%. I mean, those shows went for like 2 seasons, and you know, then you think of like, well, maybe I would have gotten a really serious role and
No
took off,
way.
but it's like you can't really think that way. You know, the path that's set before you is the one that you're gonna take, and you have to just do your best with what you have. And I feel so grateful to have been able to play Max and you know,
and to
make
hopefully
an
continue
impact.
to be able to play Max.
Hopefully continue to play
Please.
Max. And, you know, like we talked about my acting earlier, like I'm still in acting class. I want a long career and I want to have a lot of range. And that's why I'm in class, because I know that, like we talked about earlier, the style is very specific. And, you know, I want to be able to do a lot of different things with my instrument.
How about you?
I had a very similar experience where there were 2 really huge disappointments that happened right before booking Thundermans that, had they happened differently, I wouldn't have been able to book Thundermans, that I'm so grateful were failures. I was going to be Wendy in a version of Pan on Broadway. I was in New York. Like, I had done the whole investors workshop and development project, and it didn't work out, and I was heartbroken, and I came back to LA, and then I got really close. I went to final 2, like went to network, signed contract between me and one other person 12 times before I booked the Thundermans over the first 2.5 years in LA.
And I think I want to just like explain to everybody what that means, right? Because it's a very emotionally draining process because you have to go through all the stages of executives, producers, a bunch of
Contract
different
negotiation.
auditions. Yeah, and then not only is it like, then they equate your value, right?
Yep.
Like they look at you based on what you've done and what you can bring and where you fall on the call sheet for that show, and they will literally fucking give a number to your existence and what your per episode rate is. And to be fair, you get a comp, right? So like from like 1 to 12 that you get held for, there could be some increases between the two, but it's still emotionally draining because it makes you think to yourself that you fucking have this.
Yeah, you totally do. Well, I mean, once you like see a contract being like your name for this role and you sign it, that's the one thing that I think a lot of people outside of the industry don't know.
sign it.
You have to sign it before you go in for the final test. So
It's so weird.
it can be crazy when you then don't get it to go, how is that possible? I also was in a really weird position in those years because I would get told, you know, I didn't have any experience, and I would get told I was too big of a presence to play a smaller role, right? I was too... I don't know what that means. Leave that to the casting directors. I'm sure it's some PC language for other things that they can't say to me. But like, you're too big of a presence, or you're too this, or you're too that. You can't play a small role. Like, you should be a lead.
Like you'd steal the show.
Yeah. But then I would go out for a lead, and they would go, well, you don't have any credits on your resume, so we can't trust a multi-million-dollar production for you to lead. And thank
Crazy,
the
right?
stars that Jed Spingarn saw my tape, and he saw me go, I know I froze my friend, and went, she can do it. I don't care that she doesn't have anything on her resume. She can do it. And he took a chance on me and gave me #1 on a show, which was a big risk to take on a 14-year-old.
By the way, like Nickelodeon historically doesn't do that a ton, right? Like a lot of the new shows that they have had are bred off of new, like existing property, right? I mean, okay. So, I don't know. There's like a bunch of examples
definitely
of that,
in the Dan
right?
Schneider universe, there were a lot of
Totally.
rollovers, for sure.
Yeah, but it's also like you're trusting $1 million a week into
Not,
like a
not in our
child.
paycheck. Let me just make that very clear.
No, but in
I was not getting paid $1 million a
you
week.
know, it's like it's a huge thing.
I would be having a much bigger wedding if I had.
You wouldn't be here if you're making $1 million a week, sis. Jesus Christ, you wouldn't know my name.
It would be nice.
You forget me.
I would know your name. I'll always know your name.
Thank you so much.
I don't remember what your original question was. Did I answer it?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Was
being
Nickelodeon
Nickelodeon's-
what we thought?
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. So yes
It's
and
better.
no.
It's better. It's better.
I didn't expect to be able to travel the world so much.
Yeah, that part.
I didn't expect slime to be so freezing.
Is it?
It's
Yeah.
so cold. They
Yeah.
have to keep
messy.
it cold for the
Gets in
texture.
your ears.
It stains you.
What is it made out of these days?
I actually
That's the
know.
secret.
And
That's one of your three
Oh, no,
secrets.
that's-
no, that's a fourth secret. Hey, I got 4 secrets.
We got slimed by Nick Jonas one time. That was cool.
Did get in a slime car wash.
Yeah.
Wow.
Being a Nick star has been many, many things, and I don't think I ever could have imagined any of them. Being a content creator has been many things that were never in the plan. Being a musician was many things that were not in the plan. Put a pause on that for the moment because the industry side of it was killing my soul. Yeah, it's been a lot of unexpecteds and ups and downs in the last several years, but I'm really happy with where we are now and very satisfied and happy with my life and the people around me. So
I'm so genuinely excited to watch you guys like pave your path and continue on your journey. Like I'm really excited.
thank you. Will you come be in the audience of the multicam that
Fuck
I?
yeah.
Great.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
100% I'll be there. I really, and you're going to really accomplish some really cool shit.
Thanks, man.
I'm excited to watch you rise in the I was going to say thespian world, actor
I was
world.
there.
Really, it is a genuine craft that takes so much of one's being, and to put so much thought and care and education behind it goes a long way.
Yeah.
While we're at it,
There.
I do a lot of fucking podcasts. You're so good at this.
Oh,
You're
thanks.
so, both of you, like the research, the way you listen and the way that you connect things. You're so smart. You ask such great questions. It's really fun to be able to like finally sit down and do this with you.
Well, I really appreciate it, and you both are always invited here. So from this moment on,
Don't say
like,
that.
No,
We'll just you get the lattes with our faces on them in the lobby every day.
I mean
you're
that,
lucky you're an
though.
hour from where I live because I would take you up on that.
I genuinely mean that. Like, please come and hang,
very
and
nice.
throughout your journey, like, use our show as a way to promote it and get the word out there. Because
Will do.
there's a special place in my heart, one for like Nickelodeon kids, as like someone who worked there, and
Yeah.
I mean, my best friends in this lifetime and in every lifetime after this one are all fellow Nickelodeon kids, and
And we have a bond, man. Whenever we
Oh
see
my
each
God.
other out in the world, there's a thing. We look at each other and we go, I know what you've been through, and I know you know what I've been through in a way no one else does.
But there is like 24 common threads and
Yeah.
like 24 names that you can just shout out and
Totally.
be like, I know exactly who the fuck you're talking about. I know exactly what that is. I know, like, because there were so many things that everybody shared. And like, dude, I wasn't on the network attached to a show. I did like 3 different fucking pilots for them. I did the Nick's orange carpet thing.
Right.
And like, still, there's connective tissue between all of us.
Totally.
Yeah.
It is absolutely wild. And it is an incredible fucking family to be a part of, and wild. It is an honor. Like,
It's an honor. It is an honor, and it's really amazing that this year has let us remember that it's something that we are allowed to be proud of, and that I am.
Feels very good. Feels very good.
I'm happy that you guys can see pride and have pride for that, and also be able to expand it and bring it back to life, and also pass the baton to another generation to keep the story going, but also to give opportunity to 2 kids who really do, deserve
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
that's fucking huge.
I mean, look, and having been a child in the entertainment industry, anytime I'm able to like see a child in the entertainment industry and be like, I am here.
But that's
if you
how
need
it gets.
someone.
I want to say something. That's how it gets better, right?
Yeah.
Like the only way, like things like that are actually like improved is by people who were going through it, holding positions of power and creating a better environment for
Yeah.
them, right? Like your work on the suits should never be overlooked and never underestimated because it goes a long way.
I want to give a shout out while we're here to Chrissy Carlson Romano, Allison
icon.
Stoner,
Icon.
Mara Wilson. We're all in a collective discussing ways to try to make the industry safer for children. And they're doing some really amazing work. So I won't shout out any of the individual things because I don't know the timeline of their rollout. But like Chrissy Carlson Romano, Allison Stoner, Mara Wilson, like make sure you're following what they're up to because they're doing some really, really special work for like children advocacy in the entertainment industry.
And you all are putting into effect something that it can really last many, many lifetimes
So?
and improve the livelihoods of an immeasurable amount of people. You know what I mean? Like you can't.
Yeah, that's a
the
really
plan.
good point, and it's really cool that you see it that way.
Well, it's the only way to see it, right? Like anything like that, right? I think like people who were going through something and experiencing it firsthand, coming into positions of power to improve it, using those experiences to write legislation that could be adopted on a state level or federally
Yeah.
to improve conditions. Those are things that actually last forever and impact everybody.
Yeah, I think impact is the big thing. I think above all, above the collaboration, all the people we've met, the fun, I think above everything is the impact. You know, when you see people on the street and when you see kids come up to you and say, you're my favorite superhero, and you're my favorite show, and you know, your show helped me through a really, really hard time. Like that's the shit.
The one that always gets me the most is when kids go through medical nightmares and are in the hospital and they say, I watched your show in the hospital. And that's the one where I'm always like, oh,
Yeah.
like that, because I know what that feels like to be in a bad place and have a show just be your only like escape.
But by the way, like it impacts on so many different levels attached to art, right? Like that's to like you wrap your mind around that is really powerful stuff. And
It's vast, and among different countries and different cultures, like it spreads over, you know, the whole globe in a way. And when we do those international trips, you know, people that don't speak our language, you know, but are still touched by our story is makes it, you know, not that it was not worth it, but all the hard parts about it makes it all rewarding and worth it.
And as long as there's internet, there will be Thundermans. So it's immortalized and it's going to be around forever.
I use our GIFs all the time.
Listen, I have my super suit under my bed and a phone with TikTok on it. I can make Thundermans content.
Oh, yeah.
Nickelodeon doesn't send me that cease and desist. I will be making that free. Listen, it's free marketing for them. I've become like a marketing division of a marketing arm of Paramount Nickelodeon in this last year, and I don't think they're mad about it. I'm putting a lot of work in, so hopefully they're happy with it.
I was gonna say, you guys own super suits.
Yeah, we have a version of them.
Supposed to take them home. Yeah, we took versions. So I have the version of my suit because we had multiples that has little slits in the side for the harness rig. So I was able to take that one home. The actual like. They call them hero suits, like hero meaning like the one that was used, which is a funny pun because they're also literally hero suits. But the hero suits for both of us are in Nick Animation Studios in Burbank on mannequins with video screens of our heads going like this.
Those are cool.
So anyone who
they put those in a year ago or so.
a few years ago. Yeah. So anyone that goes to Burbank,
there's like a life-size mannequin.
Can see the real
us.
suits.
It's pretty cool with like iPads as heads.
That's amazing.
But we
cool.
have versions of the suits ourselves.
We do,
We
yeah.
were allowed at the very end of the original series to take a couple things home. You took the hamburger pillow from
I have the hamburger pillow. Actually, Diego called it out this morning. It was in the background of my little
that's sick.
my little video screen.
I put our KCA in the background as like a subtle flex.
I have my blimp. I have a few pair of boots, few pair of Max's
Yeah, we definitely took
boots,
some wardrobe.
some shirts and stuff that I still like just hold on to because it's just the best memories.
I only took
running around Paramount Studios as like a 16-year-old. Like,
trouble.
what are you doing? Like going up on like New York Street rooftops and like causing trouble. Like, there's nothing better than that. And like sneaking a skateboard in and getting yelled at by like the security.
Not even
like
a skateboard. What were those called? The
hoverboards?
The hoverboards.
Hoverboards,
We were on
you
the show
know?
and hoverboards got big, and for a minute we were all riding them around the lot, and Paramount Security was like, "Hey."
It was the closest thing, if you can imagine, like it was the closest thing people like us had to high school.
Yeah,
you know, we didn't go to high school.
Speak for
what I mean?
yourself. I went every hiatus week.
Well, we had Brighton Hall, but like it wasn't a real high school. We had an actor high
uniform.
school.
Yeah,
it
they
was
let
an
you have extended
Bro, we had like
periods
12
out.
kids in our class. Like it was not like a normal
wasn't
traditional
normal.
high school like you would imagine. And so this Paramount experience with a crew and different castmates and a whole lot to kind of go explore and go to the cafeteria and meet people on other shows. You know, Glee was shooting right next to us and like
Community shot
that,
next to us. We could see their feed. We used to watch their live feed when Community was filming.
Oh, that's cool.
Up
that
in the
was
lounge.
sweet. But that was the closest thing that, at least I'll speak for myself, I had to a high school experience. I moved out to LA when I was 13 in like 7th grade and started homeschooling, you know? And I had to kind of like supplement a high school experience with like going to acting class and like going to City Walk with friends and like just trying to remain normal and don't get homeschool syndrome, you know what I mean? Of like antisocial, you know, like we had to kind of supplement certain things, you know?
Honestly, it might be the thing that I'm the most grateful for on making the Thundermans return was that we were able to film it at Paramount because you're totally right. Paramount is like a character. It's like a person in my life, Paramount Studios in Hollywood. Like every time I get off at Gower, I'm like, that's my home. That's where I grew up. That's where I was when I graduated high school, when I fell in love with my first boyfriend. Like everything in my life happened there. And when I drove up for that first day on set, I went to pull out my badge and the security guards went, "You're back." And I went, "Yeah, we're shooting a movie and get to be an executive producer this time around." And they're like, "That's great, kid. We're proud of you. Go on in." And they didn't even swipe my badge. And I was like, I'm home.
Yeah.
It's very special.
That is really special.
We had a lot of firsts on set. You know, a lot of like, you know, first loves. You know, it was like high school. You know what I mean? And when that was the closest thing that you can think about, you know, and you have so many memories going back to, oh, I learned that right there.
Do you remember when I graduated and our set teacher, Adam, like chased me around playing the graduation march from the laptop, and I ran around and like being like, I did it!
You know, I graduated and I had a cap and gown, and like the whole crew came up and like we did cake and stuff.
I don't think I was there. I think I had rapped early that day and I missed it, and I was so mad about it.
Yeah, but that was you kind of make believe, you know what I mean, that you're normal, but it's so far from normal. But it's our normal, and we're just grateful for it. You know,
it is really special.
Yeah,
those memories matter.
Yeah, and hence why I was so intense about the prospect of opening it back up again, because we made something precious.
All those memories are attached to it.
They're very precious. There's a lot of baggage, good and bad, and you got to tread carefully when you're touching
as you
things
experienced
like that.
with us two on this show today.
This was just a microcosm of the last 11 years of more than that. Well, it's I guess 13 years of us knowing each other. So
that's crazy.
I know. We wish
but it's such a special relationship,
Dude.
and I love her so much.
I love you. I just realized in this next couple of months, I will have known you for more of my life than before I knew you.
Wow.
I know you for more than half of my life.
Wow.
We're getting old.
We are. One of my friends came, one of my roommates came home and he was talking about this girl and he's like, she's looking old. And I was like, we're looking old, dude. Like, you're pushing 30. I'm 27. This is not a joke anymore, bro. We got bills to pay, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Your Saturns are returning, my friend. So prepare yourself.
29
It's coming.
half,
29 and a half.
like that.
Yeah, get ready.
Get ready.
Get fucking ready. Pumped.
I will say, I feel like that happened for me this year. I feel like this was a year of making really big life decisions and like being very intentional about changing paths and even walking away from things that were really scary to like open up new space and new ground for new things to come. And it's been all of the best decisions I've ever made. I feel like I actually am a confident person for the first time in my whole life at 26.
Yeah.
It's
well,
true.
the first time since I was 10. I was a really cocky little 10-year-old. But
I do understand that, though. I remember being the same way around 26.
yeah.
And then it falls off, but
Oh.
no, but it's
actually
gonna be great.
true.
What?
No, you're gonna be great.
No, you can't. Therapy again, please. You can't just say that and then drop the mic on me.
No, it genuinely will. I do remember though being confident like 25, 26.
No, 25, I was a mess.
Well, like okay, so 26. I do, like what year was that?
When you were 26?
Yes, that was
1990.
the year was 1982.
Damn, savage.
I'm sorry, my mean streak is coming back.
I like it.
Too comfortable.
She's the one.
This is what happens when I get confident.
She's the one.
Listen,
That's good.
Wait, I was gonna say it is really true what they say about your frontal lobe like developing at 25.
It actually isn't
because
though, but
it's
I
not
do
true.
get it. No, we actually debunked this the other day on the show. Weirdly,
But Saturn is.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
I'll play into the horoscope bullshit until you say science isn't real, and then I have a bone to pick.
Maybe it's not your frontal lobe, but it's something
it is.
around the age of 25, 26
Oh,
where
guys.
I noticed a
Then I
very
knew
particular
90%
change in the
yeah.
way I viewed the world, made decisions, thought about the future, and everything. I still make stupid decisions, but everything is different since I turned 25. I really think about the things that I do, and I think about the consequences.
It can also
Yeah.
be co-concurrent. It could just be that it takes 25 years of being a person to start to figure out what the fuck you're doing.
Totally.
Right.
It might just be that, but
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's not the lobe or whatever,
Yeah.
but there's
No,
something
there
true
is
about
something.
the age of 25.
The world thinks that 25 in the lobe is like very much because I said it, and then somebody debunked me.
who debunked you?
On your show?
Do I need to debunk them?
I was gonna say that must have been.
Hey Jordan, can you whip up that article? We'll share it in the link description below.
Link in bio, smash that subscribe button.
But genuinely, the Thundermans
What's up,
returns.
YouTube?
You're good at that.
The Thundermans returns is waiting for you. The Thundermans return,
We do.
no S.
On March 7th.
Yeah, it's waiting for you.
It
Link
is.
below. Click it, click it, clink it.
Clink it.
Clink it. Clink that link, baby.
Kira Kosarin, Jack Griffo. I really appreciate you guys.
This was
Yeah,
fun
thank
and
you, man.
and a little heavy for a moment, but mostly
Yeah,
really fun.
No, this
very,
was
very
amazing.
therapeutic.
In a good way.
This is really
In a good
special.
way. This is awesome. Thank you for having us.
I needed this, and I think you guys needed it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn, it really seems like we did, huh? Good job.
Come back whenever, please.
We will.
Excited to watch you both rise.
I hope my
you.
bicep looked good there.
Yeah, yeah, good elbows, good bicep. Jack and Kira, everybody.
Thank you.
See you in the next podcast. you in the Okay, guys.
This is Wix Studio.
No. All right. See you in the next podcast episode, guys. Bye, guys.